Let me ask you something. Have you ever ducked into an aisle at the grocery store just to avoid someone you actually like? It's a strange feeling, right? To physically hide from the very people you care about. Well, today we're going to dive right into that paradox and try to figure out why the weight of affection can sometimes make us want to do nothing but run. Wow. Our source material kicks off with that incredibly blunt admission. I avoid the people I actually like. And get this, I do it on purpose. This isn't about being aloof or playing hard to get. As we're going to see, it's a deliberate choice, and it perfectly sets the stage for the internal battle we're about to explore. So yeah, let's just get one thing straight right away. This has nothing to do with not caring. In fact, it's the complete opposite. This is a behavior that comes from caring so much, so intensely. The source calls it a frantic, vibrating energy, that it just becomes completely overwhelming. And this brings us to this really fascinating idea we can call the gravity of affection. Basically, it's when the stakes of being liked by someone feel so unbelievably high that the pressure is just crushing. And in that moment, being alone feels so much safer than the risk of being truly seen and possibly judged. And this just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? We all have our excuses. Oh, I'm just so busy, or I'm totally exhausted. But the real truth is often way more vulnerable than that. It's a deep-seated fear of being perceived, the fear that you won't live up to whatever great image they have of you in their head. Okay, so this all might sound a little abstract. How does this internal tug-of-war actually play out in the real world? Let's walk through a super common, everyday scenario to see this paradox in action. So picture this. You're just on a normal trip to the grocery store, minding your own business. And then you see them, over by the frozen vegetables, a friend you genuinely like, someone you're actually happy to see. A moment that should be simple and good is suddenly not. It's filled with this weird tension. And what happens next is like a lightning-fast chain reaction. First, there's that genuine spark of joy. But that is immediately followed by a wave of pure panic. The sudden, overwhelming need to be on, to perform. All of a sudden, you're judging your messy bun, your sweatpants, the pint of ice cream in your cart. And then, what do? You flee. You duck into the aspirin aisle and just wait it out until they're gone. But why? Why does this happen? What is it about being seen by people we admire that creates such an intense, crushing pressure? Well, just look at the difference in the stakes here. With strangers, the risk is practically zero. You can be polite, distant, who cares? There's absolutely nothing to lose. But with friends, the risk feels enormous. There's this terrifying possibility that you could shatter their good opinion of you. This pressure to perfectly be the last good version of yourself that they saw. And that's really the key, right there. The avoidance isn't actually about pushing the person away. It's this totally misguided attempt to protect an idea of the friendship, to keep it perfectly preserved, safe from the messy, complicated reality of just being a person. But, okay, what's the actual price you pay for all this hiding? What's the real cost? Let's talk about the heavy, cumulative damage this kind of behavior does over a lifetime. Because this isn't just some phase, it's a deep, chronic pattern. The source talks about it starting all the way back in primary school, abandoning a best friend. Then it happens again in university, just sort of fading away from a great group of friends. And it continues today with unanswered texts and ignored phone calls. It's a whole life spent creating distance. And the consequences are just devastating. It's not one big blow up, but something the source calls a slow leak that just drains the color out of your life. You end up with a reputation for being flaky. You're constantly exhausted from the guilt. You miss out on all that shared history, the inside jokes, the big moments that build a real friendship. And ultimately, you give up the incredible comfort of being truly and completely known. And this is where we get to the really tragic irony of the whole thing. The painful realization that this behavior, which is all about preventing rejection, is actually the very thing that guarantees it. This is that huge light bulb moment, that flash of clarity where you realize your own part in your loneliness. When you constantly disappear on people, you're teaching them not to count on you. You're teaching them to stop reaching out. You are literally engineering the exact outcome that you're terrified of.
The source uses this incredibly powerful and haunting metaphor for it. It's called a quiet kind of suicide. It's not literal, of course, but it's the act of slowly and deliberately killing off your connections, the absolute best parts of your life, all in a twisted attempt to keep them perfect and safe from you.
So all of this pain and history builds up to one single tense moment, a moment that focuses on one small choice that I think many of us have faced. The thing that triggers this whole crisis isn't some big dramatic event. It's just a simple, kind text message from a friend, a little hand reaching out across the distance, a small moment of connection that forces a final showdown with this entire lifetime of running away. And this final image, it just says it all. The immense difficulty, the crushing weight of making a simple choice to just reply. That phone, a tool that's supposed to connect us, becomes a symbol of the entire burden. The whole struggle is sitting right there in the palm of your hand. Which leaves us with this one final, powerful question. We build these walls around ourselves brick by brick, thinking we're creating safety, a fortress to protect us from judgment. But what if, in the end, we've just built ourselves a prison and locked ourselves inside, cut off from the very connections that make life worth living?